And I'm Matt Hanna.
And this is Horror Hour with the Hannas,
where we talk about all your favorite scary movies.
And in the Wise, where it's bodies, 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 today's episode is a podcast about hanging out with your smartest and funniest podcast friends. So today we are joined by Brit from 1001 by 1 podcast.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm a huge fan of the show. I love horror movies. I can't wait to chat this film in particular with you two.
Yes, so today we are talking about Companion, a new release, so very exciting. But before we get into it, why don't you tell us about your show and give us a little pitch?
Absolutely. So I am one of 3 co-hosts on a show called 1001 by 1. We are a podcast that takes movies out of the book 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. We analyze them, we discuss them, and we ultimately decide whether or not we think that they should be in the book. We have a few horror episodes out from last season, which would be the original Ring, Night of the Hunter, and then the prior season we did Evil Dead and Frankenstein. We also are doing mini episodes, and we've done a lot of horror-related ones. We did Constantine, we did Longlegs, I Saw the Devil, and Nosferatu. So if it sounds like something you're interested in, please check us out wherever you stream podcasts.
Perfect. And are you on the socials too?
I am. I'm on the socials under Britsby Hobnob on Instagram and on Blue Sky and Letterboxd. I am pretty active on Letterboxd. That's probably my favorite one, but that's mostly because I really enjoy rating movies.
Well, we will definitely be finding you on Letterboxd.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we're on there too. I'll give you a follow.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Perfect. It's so much fun. And I found so many gems just like scrolling through weird random lists on Letterboxd. It's the greatest. I love it.
And I don't follow enough people, but now that I follow Andrew from a future episode, we're out of order, but he watches like 1,000 movies a year. So I was like, I got too many now.
7,000 at least.
Yeah.
It's
7,000.
wild.
I don't know where he finds the time. I'm always like, he's like, oh, I just watched this film you told me about yesterday. And I'm like, how? You have children and a wife as well and a full-time job. How do you do this? I'm constantly impressed. He has, I think, 50 hours in a day. He must.
Yeah, some people just have more hours than others. I don't really understand how it works.
Me neither.
But I certainly don't have those.
No, I'd love some of those hours. It'd be really nice. But let's be real. I'd probably just sit in bed, drinking tea, and reading.
Yeah, pretty much. So it wouldn't be useful for me.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's good for your mental health.
Yeah, I do love my reading. I've been bad in the last month, so I guess I could use the time to just catch up on my
I would love to have an extra couple hours in the day.
Right? If only to just enjoy it.
Yeah, I always feel like I need my sit down and stare at a wall time. You know,
Right?
just do nothing, turn the brain off.
God, I love doing nothing. It's one of my favorite things. If I have a day that I can do nothing, it feels like a success.
Hell yeah. Well, some icebreaker questions before we get into today's movie.
Sweet.
I know you're a horror fan, but do you have any specific favorite horror subgenres?
So yes, I do. I have 2 that really stand out to me, and those 2 are somewhat related. It's folk horror and religious occult horror. I have been obsessed with folklore and mythology my entire life. I also really love world cinema, and I feel like there's a lot of really amazing stories that you can find from all over the world in folk horror. And I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic school until I was 18. I watched The Exorcist when I was 7, and it basically like changed the trajectory of my life. So I have like this kinship with any movie that is a religious-based horror film. I feel like that is the genre that I don't care if it's crap, I will still watch it. Like I'll still watch it and probably enjoy it, even if it's a bad film. So those are the 2 that I constantly find myself going back to no matter what.
So do you have any favorites in those genres that you want to shout out?
Yeah. I made a list of like 20 films, and then I decided I probably shouldn't shout out 20. So I am piecing it down as I go. So there's a movie from 2011 called Kill List by Ben Wheatley. And it's a little film from the UK, but it's one of the bleakest films I've ever seen, and it goes to wild places that you will not anticipate. I really, really enjoy that one. 1964's Qui-Gon from Japan. Just a fantastic film. It's pretty long, but the way that it's segmented, you can watch it in 4 sittings. And it's 4 folk tales from Japan. It's really beautiful, and all of the stories are really well done. My personal favorite is the first one, but they're all worth a watch. There's a movie from 2017 called Pyewacket, and it's about a young girl, and this one's more under occult, but I think it also fits in folk horror. It's about a girl whose father passes away, and they have to move, and she finds solace in occultism and brings something into her life that she shouldn't have. And I can sing Pyewacket's praise forever. I feel like not enough people have seen it, and it's really, really fun. And then I really like The Wailing from South Korea from 2016.
We're big fans here.
Oh, such a good movie. Oh my God, I love The Wailing. It is wild.
I wasn't thinking about that as folk, but you're right. No, I mean, that definitely fits both folk and occult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of. There's so much overlapping in those two genres that
movie's that's just an evil movie.
It is.
I really like it. It makes me feel gross.
Yeah. I like a movie that makes me feel things I might not necessarily feel. I like feeling uncomfortable. It's a cathartic thing, right? Like horror's the release.
I completely agree with you. Like we rewatched The Substance last night, and I laughed my way through it, but I was like, it's funny. Also, I'm nervous laughing. Also, I'm so impressed by what they put on screen that I have this smile across my face. It was all of these combinations of feelings I was having.
I'm obsessed with The Substance. I went and saw it at 10 a.m. on a Sunday, and it was the perfect time for a screening of The Substance. And I was the only person in the cinema cackling. But when I'm really enjoying something, if something really makes me uncomfortable, I have to laugh. So that whole ending, as soon as the blood started shooting out, yes. I was done for. I was like, this is 10 out of 5 stars. Everybody should see it. Perfect movie. No notes.
I didn't realize how much I was going to like it on second viewing, because I felt similarly the first time. And watching it, I was like, there's a point in which my jaw drops in that movie and it never closes.
Yes.
And it happened again. And I was like, how does a movie that I'm watching for the second time do that again? And then I started remembering in the theater all the different reactions I got, because we got laughs, we got gasps, we had people yelling, basically. It was this weird combination.
There was hiding, there was some gagging, the whole gamut. And that is a really fun reaction. It's fun to see how different people are taking it and the feelings it's eliciting. And I think it's really impressive that one movie is able to do all of that.
I totally agree.
Thematically, it's so successful on top of all of that.
And even cooler that it got an Oscar nom. Couple Oscar noms.
Hell yeah. We are thrilled.
Also, watching it again last night, I was like, okay, jail time for, I can never say her name. What's the director's name?
Coralie Farge?
Yes.
Coralie Farge. I was like, yeah, jail time for her. And also, how did this get nominated for everything? But I'm very happy about it.
I don't know, but I appreciate it. And I'm like, I don't know if Hollywood really understands what this is commenting on, but whatever, I'll take it if it's going to get more people to watch this film and understand what this is about. I've seen so many people, so many reviews talking about how they can't understand how Demi Moore, who is beautiful, could ever feel like she needs a better version of herself. And I was like, oh, this is a person who's never experienced body dysmorphia in their life. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Great. This film is not for you, I guess, then.
No. Yeah. I mean, I find that hard to believe that people have never once felt an ounce of body dysmorphia.
Right?
But allegedly, that is how people feel. And I'm very happy for you if that's your experience. But it's not the average person's experience. So I think having these things put to screen, especially because someone who is so beautiful, their character also experiencing that like the rest of us. And then when her even, quote, more beautiful version feels the exact same way and feels the need to do it again, I think even though that part for some people goes too far off the rails, I think it is really important for the themes.
I completely agree.
I totally 100% agree as well. I think it goes to the correct place in that moment. And then there's nothing funnier than her trying to curl her hair. I can smell that
burns
hair.
Off.
Oh my God. It's the best.
Are we going to put spoilers for The Substance on this episode now?
No, it's been out long enough. We were laughing hysterically while we watched it last night while two of our friends sat on the other side of the sofa in horror. So
Yeah, our one
my
friend, he
gosh.
like was really upset. Well, Preston, who has been on the show, I'll call
Yeah.
him out. I've never seen him that upset watching a horror movie. I don't think he'll ever come on the show again. Like he was always our resident scaredy cat that was like very scared of him. We had him watch Skinamarink and he did okay. And I'm horrified of Skinamarink and nope, the substance did him in.
I mean,
I
I
don't know what it
can
was.
understand that. Body horror, right? Like body
it's a
horror is
different-
such a tough genre for certain people. Like I'm a gore girl. I want all the gore in the world. I want to be uncomfortable. I love it, but there are so many people that can't handle that at all. Like I've tried to get my husband to watch The Substance because I think he'd appreciate the themes, and he's like, absolutely not. He will watch The Raid though and be fine with it. So it just depends on what kind of gore. It can't be that kind of gore, but if it's people beating each other up, he's totally fine with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, so do you have more questions for icebreakers? I'm sorry I took us on a substance tangent.
That is fine. We love The Substance where you can shout it out all day, every day. But my other question, since we are covering a new release today, is do you have any other new releases you're really looking forward to this year?
This was a good question for me because I'm so bad at looking forward to things. I usually don't look into what's coming out next because I don't know. I just get kind of bogged down with like the vibe of what I'm looking for. So this was fun for me because I actually was like, oh, what am I looking forward to? So I know that I'm a huge fan of Paddington. So Paddington in Peru is coming out soon. I'm very excited about that. But for horror releases, I recently saw the trailer for The Woman in the Yard with Danielle Deadweiler, and she's amazing. And it was just kind of a striking image of a woman in all black in a yard, basically. And I thought, great, I'm in. So I'm excited about that one. I love vampires and I love Michael B. Jordan. So Sinners, I'm going to be first in line for that. I am hoping that Del Toro does My Goth Mommy Mary Shelley proud and acknowledges her contribution to science fiction and horror with his new Frankenstein. So I'm pretty excited about that one. I am notoriously not a fan of the 1930s version at all. So I'm hoping this does my Goth Mommy justice. And there is a movie that came out in 2024 by Kiyoshi Kurosawa called Chime. It is only streaming on like one Japanese streaming site, so I haven't been able to find it. So even though it came out in 2024, I'm really hoping that at some point in 2025, I'm going to get a chance to watch that because I'm a huge fan of his. I love Cure, I love Seance, I love Pulse, and so I got to see Chime. Like, I won't be.
You got a big
without
Pulse
it.
fan over here in me.
Oh my God, seriously? Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I've only
love
seen it
Pulse.
once. I'd heard so many things about it, and I was like, I have to see this. And that basement scene is like actually like pee pants scary, as I put it.
Oh my God, that scene to this day, if I'm sitting somewhere, I have to look behind me to be like, do I have some random lady in weird pumps sitting against the wall? Like, I need to know because that scene scares the crap out of me.
And even like that movie gets a little goofy near the end, and I still enjoy it. But like there are some moments early on that are just like just burned into my brain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's such an interesting look into technophobia, right? And kind of where, and it fits it with what we're talking about today, but just like how far we've come with those themes and how relevant they still are. You know, that was in what 2001, and it's 2025, and we still have these technophobia horror films coming out. So it's a very relevant topic. And if anybody hasn't seen Pulse, please watch it and let us know what you think because it's so good.
And I have to send us on one more tangent, but I'll be quick. I believe Guillermo del Toro is going to do it. That's all
Good.
I wanted to say. I think if you look at something like The Shape of Water, I think he knows exactly what he should be going for with a monster movie, especially in his own style.
Yes.
And I think you're right. We probably really have never gotten a thematically correct Frankenstein film, right? Like, not that I can think of.
Yeah.
So,
totally
like,
agree.
he feels like he's the guy that can do it.
I think he can. I think he really, really can. I'm hopeful. I just, man, if the one thing that really pissed me off about the 1930s is the opening credits, they have Mary Shelley credited as Mrs. Percy B. Shelley. And I was like, how dare you do that to her? She spent her entire life trying to prove that she had written this story because everybody said that Percy was the one who had to have done it because he was editing it. And it left a bad taste in my mouth. So I really hope Guillermo del Toro, and I, like you said, I do believe he will, but Justice for Mary Shelley.
Yeah, I'm a believer. I'm very hopeful that that'll be one of the better horror releases of the year.
Yeah.
Sinners, I think, is also going to be up there as one of the best, since you mentioned that.
I mean, the shots look gorgeous, so in.
Okay, so now that we got all of the icebreakers out of the way, let's get back into Companion.
Okay, so back of the box summary. The film follows a weekend getaway among friends at a remote cabin, which unravels into chaos. And I love how little that says about this movie. I think it should stay that way. Don't watch trailers for this. Just go off of that.
I should also specify we're staying spoiler-free for now. I realize we didn't tell the audience that, so I think they know. But
Perfect. I'll keep it spoiler-free until we decide it's time for spoilers, I promise.
Yes. Yeah, we'll announce it. But yeah, as I was saying, the teaser trailer, fine, good, honestly, perfect.
Yeah.
It really hooked me. The actual trailers give away the first twist of the movie, which I don't appreciate.
I agree. I was pretty disappointed because I had avoided everything but the teaser for this until about a week before I watched it. And and I was so upset about that because I not that I really care that much about spoilers. It's not going to ruin my movie experience, but I thought it was such a fun reveal that it was just disappointing that that was in the in the trailer that they showed before a different movie we had gone to see. I will say though, that is the reason my husband went to go see it, because he realized that it was more in his genre. So he would go to it. And I was like, okay, so it worked for you, did not work for me.
Yeah, I guess if you have a partner who's not into horror and needs some convincing, maybe let them watch the trailer. But
agreed.
But go in as blind as you can be, besides like knowing the cast. I think other than that, secret time.
Yep.
But this movie is starring Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid. It's written and directed by Drew Hancock in his directorial debut. It's actually produced by Zach Cregger of Barbarian, which we love.
And Whitest Kids You Know fame. Come on.
Okay, yes. I always forget that because I didn't watch it. But he initially was eyeing Companion as his second directing film, but eventually they ended up setting the project up for Drew Hancock to be the director. I'm kind of glad that that's the route it ended up going.
Me too. I think that I think from what I read during interviews, it's just that the passion he had for this project was coming through so strongly that Zach Cregger's thought this would be better helmed by somebody who really did have such an eye for what they wanted to tell with this story. And I think that really enhanced what could have been. I think he did a pretty good job, especially for his first feature. Like I was like, I wouldn't guess that this was his first feature. So you know what? Good job, man. Good job.
I agree. And I think part of what makes Barbarian so fun is he clearly had this passion and this vision for the story. And the intention comes out very well thematically. So without having that passion for it, I would worry like what quality we would get, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with what we got there.
Me too.
I actually don't have any fun background facts on this one. I couldn't find too many like behind the scenes facts. So when you went in to see this movie, did you have any like expectations that were or weren't met?
I don't want to say that I went in with this movie with high expectations at all. But I was looking forward to it. Like I really love Barbarian. I was excited that it was the same producing team behind this because I felt confident that they would do an interesting take on a genre that I kind of feel is overdone. Not in a bad way. I really enjoy it, but I was like, I'm not sure they're going to do anything new with this. I don't really think they did anything new with it, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't fun. I had a really good time in the theater watching this. My husband came with me. He does not like horror films, but he thought this looked like something that would be up his alley. The two of us also talk a lot in movies, but thank God there was like nobody else in the theater with us. So it was just basically like us and one other man at the beginning, the front of the theater. He had brought a flask of whiskey that we put into a soda that we decided to drink together because apparently we're in high school. And
I love that. We gotta do
And
that.
then, like, we just kind of danced along the entire time. We were just like making snide comments to each other, not about the film, just in general, enjoying the whole experience. So honestly, I had a really, really good time watching this movie. I didn't see the twists coming. I wasn't trying to figure it out, which was pretty nice. I was just along for the ride, and I had a good time. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we actually went as a part of AMC's Scream Unseen. We'd never done that before, but it was so fun to go in not knowing, because we were like, it's either going to be Companion or it's going to be Hard Eyes. These are the two upcoming films. It's going to be one of them. And I don't think we had like a strong preference which, but then we were trying to guess.
I kind of wanted it to be Hard Eyes because Hard Eyes is further out.
That's the only reason
we basically saw Companion like 3 days before it released.
Yeah, but it was still really fun and cool to be like, I saw this early. Like, so it was very fun, and the people in the theater were definitely had like a good energy.
Oh, it was packed
because of that. Yeah,
it was very much like movie people, which I liked.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's really nice. Like I feel like when you're in a cinema with a bunch of people who have this like matching energy, it can transform the experience. I recently, quick tangent, went to go see Mulholland Drive.
Great movie.
Oh my God. It's my favorite movie. And David Lynch was my favorite director. Was not okay when he died.
We're having you back.
And absolutely.
Because I'm, as everyone knows, I'll tell you, Hannah and I are both big Lynch fans, but we actually haven't seen all of his movies because we watch them with some friends of ours that we wait and watch. So like we're going through the catalog, or I would have watched all of them by now. But it's
agonizing waiting.
So I haven't, it's actually upsetting me because I haven't seen like Eraserhead.
Well, I've seen
crazy. She
has. That's a problem.
But I've watched all of
one.
That was my first one too.
She hasn't watched any of Twin Peaks though, so
I have a Twin Peaks tattoo.
Oh my god! So it's my favorite show.
It's my favorite show. Literally, behind me, I don't know if you can see it, but I have 2 pictures that are Twin Peaks and Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. I'm obsessed with Twin Peaks. I have watched it multiple times. Oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever. And we have to do a Twin Peaks episode now.
I've been trying to just do a Twin Peaks pod, but I know it's been done before.
Oh my God.
But the listeners will know that I talk about Twin Peaks a lot, and I've only ever watched it once. I watched it for the first time last year, and immediately I was like, this is the best show I've ever watched. It's favorite
the greatest show ever. So. I love it so much.
He has told me so much about what happens.
You asked.
But then he got to the end and was like, can I tell you how it ended? And I'm like, no. Because then I'm going to feel less motivated to watch it if you tell me what happens. And I know I need to watch it because I'm so invested in everything that happened up until that point. And I like walk through and see certain scenes. And now I think with Lynch passing and like how much that upset us, I'm like, okay, it's got to be time now. I have to do it.
It's so good. And I feel like even if you know the ending, the journey is still so worth it with Twin Peaks. You just getting into it and going through it and experiencing that. It's amazing. But back to Mulholland Drive. I brought my friend who had never seen it, and I thought she was going to hate it. And because we were in this like theater with a bunch of other Lynchian fans, we had the greatest time watching Mulholland Drive. She was like, I don't know what happened, but I loved it. When Billy Ray Cyrus came on screen, there was a beat. Everybody laughed. There was a beat, and she went, oh shit, that's Billy Ray Cyrus. And everybody started just laughing. She was laughing too. It was incredible. So like, it changes it, right? Being in a movie where everybody's like amped and ready to go.
Yeah. That's a good movie for it too, because it's like, it's fun, it's scary, it's goofy, you get like a little bit of everything. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
That's exciting.
I think that might be my favorite Lynch film that we've watched as well. I did really like Lost Highway, and I saw Eraserhead so long ago that I need to rewatch it before I could like accurately rank that amongst the ones I've seen.
Mulholland Drive, I think, is, from what I've seen, his most approachable outside of, I'm guessing, like, I haven't seen the tractor one, Straight Story.
Oh, I
heard it's good.
I love Straight Story. It's the most Lynchian movie ever, honestly. Like,
really? Oh, everyone.
Well, because it really happened. Like, it's based on a true story, so it's wild. But I love Straight Story. But Lost Highway, we did a director ranking on 1001 of David Lynch. I originally ranked Lost Highway at like 8 because I was like, oh, I don't think I'm gonna like that. It went up to 2. Lost Highway is killer. That is a vibe movie for all vibes.
Yes.
and
Yes.
Queen Patricia Arquette. Oh,
What was number one then?
Oh, Mulholland Drive. 100%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's my 1 and 2 as well. Until
So
we
good.
rewatch Eraserhead, and then we'll see. I saw Eraserhead in an intro to film class in college, and it broke my brain for a little bit. And I'm very ready to return.
I'm ready.
Okay, companion.
Yeah, sorry, companion. We're 30 minutes in.
Apologies.
No, I'm just happy that someone we talked to knows Twin Peaks because I feel crazy because I always say it on this and no one else has seen it. It seems
It's like too many young.
No, this is great. Now we have another person to vouch for me.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's the best. Watch it. It's my favorite.
Okay, so obviously this has the label of a horror movie. It does have horror elements, of course. Is this movie scary?
No, it's
No,
not.
No. We count our hide and scream counts on this show, as everyone listening knows. No hides or screams. But what I do think this movie does very well is the comedy piece of horror comedy. This movie was so funny.
I am not a comedy person. Comedy is my least favorite genre. And I am not usually the first person to go see a comedic horror film, but I thought the tone of this was so good. They didn't make it too cheesy. They didn't make it hokey. There was something about it that I really felt okay with it being. And I don't really think this is a horror movie. A bit spoiler there, but it still drew me in. I still was okay with the comedy in it because comedy is really hard and I don't like stupid comedy. And this was not stupid comedy. So I was like, great, we're good. I'm able to enjoy this.
I think it fit that tonal line where it never got to the point of feeling forced or like unrealistic, but it was still like mostly naturally funny, which I think there's a huge issue even among comedies right now is I don't see a lot of movies be very naturally funny. And the two that I can think of in the past 20 years are Superbad and The Nice Guys. And to be honest, like
naturally
funny, I can't like funny out of circumstance instead of funny out of setup and punchline is what I should say.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay. I get what you mean. Yeah.
And I think those work for me better. Like The Nice Guys is clearly like probably the funniest movie of the last decade. I'm going to say it. But it's
like
hard.
There's been a resurgence of The Nice Guys. I've seen a lot of people talking about it lately.
It's fantastic. Can we cover it? Probably not.
No.
There's murder in it.
Yeah, there's murder. It's horror now.
There you go.
But
But
I think this movie, while like, no, it's not like bust a gut funny. It rides a good line of like tonally funny and not being like stoner comedy, kind of annoying funny.
Yeah. I would have probably walked out if it was. Like, I can't handle that. I can't handle stoner comedy. I wish I could, but it's just not my bag.
I actually laughed out loud at this a couple times. I think it's the flashbacks.
The flashbacks are really funny.
Oh,
Obviously,
yes.
we'll get into that more later, but the flashbacks had me dying, laughing out loud, and the whole theater was. So it's not it wasn't just hitting for me, it's hitting for everybody. Yeah, It was very fun. What else did you like about the film besides the humor actually hitting?
I liked that it was rated R. The gore was great. There were a couple moments where I literally, I think I went, oh, fuck, because I just get very vocal about things. And I said this previously, I'm a gore girl. I love it through and through. And I feel like this movie managed to ride that line of being appropriately gory for the tone of the film without going so far that you're like, well, this is just so unrealistic now that I can't even engage with the story. And like, I love a really, really gory film like Tokyo Gore Police. Like, absolutely give me that all day. But that's totally different than something like Companion. You can't, it wouldn't fit if this became a gigantic bloodbath. So I actually was very impressed that it was rated R and they still managed to tone it back enough that it still worked within the world of this film.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Something else that I liked is if you didn't go in seeing the trailers, I do think the plot twists, there's two big ones, I would say. The first one, I think there's hints here or there.
And that was the one that was spoiled by some of the trailers.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I I can't put myself in the position of not knowing because that just simply wasn't my experience. But
Same.
I do think that the way they built up to it, if you didn't know and then looked back, it's very funny. Like the little clues. And the second plot twist, I did not see coming at all.
The second plot twist, because I knew the first one going in, the second one completely like kicked my ass.
Me too.
And I think that was,
it.
I think, to be honest, like that might have been the intent, because I feel like even before I saw a trailer of the second one, I was like, oh yeah, I think I just thought that that's what the movie was going in based on the first trailer. I don't know. And so when that second one hit, I was like, oh, there it is. Like, so that might have been the intent, honestly.
I love the second reveal. I thought it was pitch perfect. I was, and it made me happy because there are movies, if I'm not as into it, I'm going to try to figure out the plot, right? I'm going to try to sit there and go, this is what this is leading to. This is what's going to happen. And in this, it basically tells you in the first, couple of minutes what's going to happen at the end of the film. So I felt relieved because I was like, I can just enjoy the ride now. I can just go along with it. And I think, yeah.
I thought you were a Lynch superfan. You should be used to just going along for the ride.
I am a Lynch superfan, and I absolutely will just go along with it. But it's got to be really, really good direction in order to do that. So and you know what? Honestly, I think this was directed pretty well. So I think I'm good with it. Yeah.
I think for a first time director, I would agree with you.
Yeah,
it's not
first time.
Stand out in any way, but like it's technically good. Like it's very fine.
I feel like all of the performances, for the most part, felt like they were in the same world, which cannot be said about many films that I've seen. Even like the most recent Guillermo del Toro film, I didn't think anybody was in the same film in that. But in this one, I was like, oh, I can see that these people fit together in the same world.
Yeah, they all had the same script and the same direction for sure. I thought they meshed really well. I thought the casting overall was really good and really fun. Especially, we lost our marbles when Harvey from What We Do in the Shadows showed up. We were like, Guillermo, yes! We were like whisper screaming to each other. And so every time he spoke, we were giggling. Like that was...
I do agree. Yeah, I was. He came on screen and I hit Hannah and she didn't realize at first, then looked and jumped. I saw her jump with excitement. She was like, yes, thank you. And I will be really quick about this tangent. We were just saw Parade for Mardi Gras down in New Orleans. And
fun.
they had a What We Do in the Shadows portion because it was like the crew of Chewbacca. It's like Nerd Parade basically. And all of a sudden we see this guy that looks like Colin Robinson on a parade float. And I was like, oh, it's Colin Robinson. We're yelling. And I start looking at him. I'm like,
that's him.
I'm like, Hannah, that's Colin Robinson. She's like, no, that's not him. I was like, Hannah, that is Colin Robinson. And it was him. It was the real Colin Robinson. And he was the parade king.
The float theme was Superb Al.
Yeah, Superb Al.
Super Bowl coming up.
It's going to be in New Orleans. Good. And we didn't get a picture with him because Hannah didn't believe me that it was him.
Also, then once I really was like, oh my God, it's dark and we have drinking. I can't be blamed. But once I put it together, holy shit, now it's really him. Then the parades started moving real fast. And I was like, damn it, sir. But it was so good.
That's so cool.
Yep.
I love What We Do in the Shadows. I had a similar reaction about Guillermo showing up.
Yeah. He's like him and Colin are our favorite characters.
Oh, they're so good. They're so good.
But coming back to this, I wanted to say with your thing with the performances, Sophie Thatcher, quite good. Jack Quaid, always good. My issue is I need him to stop playing the same character because he's very talented.
I kind of feel
he's doing the same thing in everything right now. It feels like to me.
Yeah,
Scream is very similar. Even The Boys, where he's a little bit more of a sweetheart, is still kind of this dweeby guy.
I feel like I see it a lot between this and Scream. I think he is also really good at the nice guy persona because of The Boys. We see that a lot. So it's
listen, Jack Quaid fucks. Let him be a cool guy in one of these movies. Right?
I think he's one of those actors where you have the actors that transform into other people and the actors that transform the role to themselves, and I think he falls in the latter of that, where he's not going to become a different person in every role. He's going to somehow mold it to fit his personality. And while I think he's good at that, I agree. It would be interesting to see him do something different. I'm just not sure he will.
You're right.
That makes sense.
He's really good at it, and that's I think the issue. But I'm like, it's time to take the next step. Like you're a good actor. Like your dad is a good actor, a very good actor.
Your mom is a very good actor. Like,
wait, who's mom? I can't think of whom.
Meg Ryan.
Oh my god, I always forget that because of the last name and because he looks just like his dad.
He looks just like his dad, but
so I'm shitty for that. I apologize.
No,
you got it in your blood. Like it's time to take that next step. So
exactly.
King.
Yeah, that's nepotism used for good.
Yeah.
Yes, Nepo King, do it. Push yourself. You can.
Yeah.
I think we'll see it right now. Let him get the bag right now, and then.
I hope we see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Make that money and then go do some films where you're not going to get paid.
Yeah, it's like starting with we said Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart. Start with your corny shit, whatever. Not that The Boys is sometimes corny, but do your shit and then go do some weird fucking indie shit and be a little
please.
Go to the Lighthouse.
That's the pipeline that we need.
And then you get to come back and be Batman and be really good at it. So
Perfect. Okay. So anything else that we really liked that we'd want to highlight?
I want to wait until spoilers to talk about some other things I really liked.
Okay.
If that's okay.
What about you, Brit?
I think everything else that I have is kind of spoilery. Like the only thing I can say really is like this movie is all text. There is no subtext, and I'm totally fine with that. Like there's nothing going on below the surface, but sometimes that's fine. I don't need Mulholland Drive levels every single time I watch a movie.
Yeah. Anything that did not work that we're able to talk about right now, even vaguely?
Yeah, I got you. I would say it's what Brit just said about the lack of subtext, I think hurts this movie. I think the fact that what this movie has been done many, many times before in much more interesting ways made me pretty frustrated while watching it. And because it doesn't really have much to say beyond what's already been said, it feels like it doesn't really know what to do with itself throughout. And it kind of is like, let's just lean back on some horror movie break-in tropes or horror movie this person is being hunted down tropes. And given like the cast and I think like the setup, I found it very frustrating as a watch.
Yeah.
So to be honest, I've been saying nice things. I would say like I didn't particularly like this movie. I thought it was very fine. And I'll get into more of that with the non-spoilers, but I think it has merit and there's like good things about it. But unfortunately, like my takeaway was it's really middle of the road for me.
Yeah, I would say I thought the first half, I really liked where it was going. I thought it was really fun. I feel like maybe the second half or at least the last third is where it started to get a little convoluted for me. And I thought it started to lose some of the themes that I had taken away from it. Or at least muddled them in a way that I didn't
totally agree
appreciate. With that. And it just kind of felt like it was doing Ready or Not for the last third, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, unfortunately, Ready or Not handled it better. I think that that's a pretty solid flick. And I agree. I think that this movie started out and again, I really enjoyed this movie. It's probably one that I'll put on again, just like while I'm cooking or something, because it's easy and I don't have to think about it. But it had a really great trajectory. And then it just kind of plateaued at a point where it was like, okay, where are we going to go from here? And why are we going to there?
They got writer's block.
Yeah, for reals.
So, before we go into the spoiler zone, do you think people should see this movie?
It was fun, sure. Yeah.
Wait for streaming. That's what I would say. Sorry. I should never say that because I love going to the movie theater and supporting your local theater or your AMC or whatever. However, I just I don't know. It's not... It's an at-home movie, in my opinion. That's the way I'd put it.
I agree with Jack Quaid that it's actually, that he said in his interviews that it's a fun date night movie. I actually do think this would be fun to get dinner, probably at like a chain, like something silly, like a Red Robin, and then go see this movie. I feel like that would be the perfect outing for a
with
date
a
night.
flask of whiskey.
Yes.
That's what I did, and it was perfect.
It's a date night movie in the way that it's kind of going to be forgettable. which I think a lot of date night movies are.
So rude.
You know, it's like, oh, let's just go see something inoffensive and, easy to get, maybe not easy to get through. This one's a little more gory, but one that's going to be out of my head in a day.
See, it's not out
You don't
of
want
my
to question
head, but
reality
it's not going to
when
be
you
my
walk out.
favorite of the year, and that's fine. It's already not my favorite horror movie I've watched this year, and that's, again, it's fine,
Yeah,
but I still
totally
liked it.
fine. I liked it too. I had fun.
Also, don't tell me I'm being mean. Mulholland Drive is definitely not a date night movie. That is like an anti-date night movie.
Oh, I
You
one
better
time.
be... Sorry, go
This
ahead.
is a tangent. Sorry. I one time, when I was in high school, was very excited to watch a movie. And this guy who wanted to date me was like, okay, why don't we go to the movie, to Blockbuster, back in like 2007
Hell yeah.
and get a movie. So we went to Blockbuster and I got a movie. And after watching it, I was like, well, I'm never going out with this guy because we got Audition and he really wasn't into it. And it's my favorite. And I was like, well, if you can't handle Audition, you can't handle dating me. So I never went out on another date with him.
What a test.
That's a crazy pick. I like
so
it. But it's not an early date night movie. Or it
the
is, or
first-
maybe it is. I don't know.
Well, the other one, the first time my husband and I watched a movie together, we watched I Saw the Devil and he loved it. So now we're married and
Now
have
you're
been
married.
married for 10 and a half years. So I feel like I picked the right guy.
Yes. It's a good test. For
Right?
sure.
Exactly.
Okay.
So let's enter the
Spoiler zone.
Now we're entering the spoiler zone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the spoiler zone. After this point, you're going to hear some things that you might not want to hear.
So let's do
wow.
our 15-second summaries. Brit, I know you're familiar with the show, but as a reminder, this is where we describe the film in 15 seconds or less. It could be as nonsensical, it could be a joke, or it could be a serious description. Whatever you have in your arsenal is A-okay.
This is Hannah's least favorite bit, but apparently the audience likes it. So
I get
I
too
like
nervous.
it. So I think it's fun.
Yeah, everyone says it's funny.
it sets
but I
me
get
up to say
nervous.
something that'll get me in trouble usually.
Yeah.
So I like that part. And then I'm like, ooh, I'll roll that back. All right.
Okay.
You want me to go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
I can go
Go
first.
ahead.
Okay. Incel man is too big of a shit to have a real girlfriend, so he rents one.
True.
Yep.
Is
Absolutely.
this really about the loneliness epidemic? The male loneliness epidemic.
A little, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
You got
Yes,
it.
very brave.
When all hope seems lost, Iris discovers the best use for an electric wine opener.
That's a good one.
I like it. Okay, we ready? For
Yeah.
me. It's Ex Machina, but it's worse.
And fun. It's funnier though.
That was mine. That was 2 seconds.
I know, but you could. It's a comedy version. So.
It's
Ex
really
Machina
funny.
is kind of funny too, all right?
I
There's
love
comedy in
Ex
Ex Machina.
Machina.
Yeah, we do
It's a
too.
great movie. And when we left the theater, my husband went, that was just Ex Machina Light, wasn't it? So he's right there with you.
Wow.
That's exactly what we said.
That's funny. It's Ex Machina Light in basically every facet, which I'm sorry. And again, to this director, you did a pretty good job for your first outing.
Yeah.
Like, with what you're working with, pretty good job.
I was listening to another podcast, speaking of Ex Machina, and they said they thought that the themes of Ex Machina were right on the surface, that it was very surface level, but they liked Companion. And I would argue, if you think Ex Machina is on the surface, this is just might as well be written on the screen for you.
Name names.
I'm not
Call
going to
them out.
name names. They're allowed to have that opinion. I just
Yeah,
don't
of
share
course.
that. So
I don't share that opinion at all. I mean, I feel like we've seen this idea multiple times. Like what I wrote down was we've seen it in Blade Runner. We've seen it in Terminator. We've seen it in Ex Machina. We've seen it in the season 2 Black Mirror episode, Be Right Back. This is like, and again, we can even go back to Goth Mommy Mary Shelley with Frankenstein. Like we have seen an android or a creature trying to find purpose and killing their maker many times before. So it's not a unique film. But for me, that wasn't a detriment because I think I just was along for the ride. I was like,
Yes.
It's not going to be winning any awards. It's not going to change my life. So I'm just going to drink some whiskey and have a good time.
yeah, and I think that's the right attitude. Like it's a January release. You kind of
Good
know
point.
to a degree what you're getting into. It's going to be fun. But it's not going to be the best of the year, or they would have waited. So, that's fine.
You make such a good point about Blade Runner, though, because, like, maybe we just never needed another AI robot movie after that speech at the end of Blade Runner. Oh. And I guess you're right. That's also kind of just Frankenstein. I was like, I've never thought about that. And so, like, I know you haven't seen Blade Runner, Hannah, but...
You haven't seen Blade Runner?
No, she hasn't.
I have a lot of blind spots.
I saw someone describe it as it's a complete mess of a movie and it's a masterpiece.
Yes,
and I agree. It is a
that.
complete mess, but it's both. Like,
I have a lot of blind spots, like pre-2000.
It's good. It's very much a...
I do, too. And that, like... There are many that I have not seen from like the 1970s, 60s, 50s. I'm just not interested. But
I'm trying to... No, guys, come on, both of you.
I will.
The stuff that has made it through... You have to think about it this way. There was probably a lot of bullshit released, but the stuff that has made it through... That people still talk about is talked about for a reason. So go watch it. All right.
That's why we do our podcast. I mean, I've watched so many so many movies that I never would have watched because they're in the book. So
good. I'm sorry. Yeah. This is more for Hannah than it is for you. But I'm just like,
I get this lecture.
There's good shit out there that looks better than anything coming out today, especially the way it looks. Like,
well, we have our to watch list that we're building, and we can definitely broaden my horizons.
Yes, we're working on it. All right. Sorry, we're taking forever. Full summary. Okay. Irish and Josh traveled to an isolated lake house to meet their friends Kat, Eli, and Patrick, as well as Sergey, Kat's boyfriend and the owner of the lake house. The next day, Sergey attempts to sexually assault Iris at the lake, confessing it was all Kat's idea. He refuses to stop, and she kills him. She returns to the house in a panic and attempts to explain to Josh before he uses the command, Iris, go to sleep, to temporarily power her down. Iris regains consciousness and finds herself tied to a chair. Josh confesses the truth. She is an advanced companion robot who can be controlled by his smartphone. Iris breaks free, steals Josh's phone, and escapes, fleeing into the nearby forest. It is revealed that Josh jailbroke Iris's settings by increasing her aggression level and turning off her inability to do harm. He and Kat had planned for Iris to kill Sergey in order to steal $12 million Sergey kept in his personal safe, inviting Eli and Patrick along to corroborate their story. Josh and Kat insist to Eli that Patrick is not entitled to a cut of the money because he doesn't count. Patrick is then revealed to be Eli's companion robot. The four split up into the forest to find Iris. Patrick tells Eli that he had already deduced he is a companion bot, but is genuinely in love with Eli, and Eli reciprocates. They spot Iris, she flees again, and after, Eli tackles her. While they wrestle around for control of a gun, Iris ends up shooting Eli dead. Iris then rounds back to the lake house and steals Josh's car. She makes it a few miles away before Josh finds Sergey's phone and uses it to report his vehicle stolen, causing the car to come to a complete stop while walking her in. He also resets Patrick to be his companion robot and jailbreaks him. He commands Patrick to find Iris and bring her back. Iris is met by a police officer. After he sees the bloody knife in the car, he commands she step out for questioning. Patrick appears and kills the cop. As Iris flees on foot again, Patrick is able to disable her. Kat, disgusted by Josh's actions, tries to leave with her half of the money. Josh orders Patrick to stop her, and Patrick's heightened aggression setting leads him to stab and kill her. Josh calls Empathics to pick up Iris because she is defective. He then commands Iris to shoot herself in the head. Sid and Teddy, workers from Empathics, arrive to take Iris away to reboot her. Josh provides a false story about Iris's malfunctioning and explains that she shot herself in the head out of emotional anguish, meaning her memories are gone. They then inform Josh that the video and intelligence isn't placed in the head, but is instead placed in their chest and abdomen area. Josh watches them leave with Iris, then commands Patrick to kill them. Patrick kills Sid, and Teddy escapes. Teddy flees into the woods, but eventually Patrick catches up to him. Before he can kill Teddy, Iris fully reboots. She pleads with Patrick to spare Teddy and finds he is struggling to hold back due to his increased aggression mod. She then appeals to Patrick's humanity, reminding him of his love for Eli. Overcome with guilt, Patrick commits suicide. Teddy grants Iris the ability to fully control herself. Iris confronts Josh, and after a brief scuttle, Iris stabs him in the temple with an electric corkscrew, killing him. She then packs clothes and Sergey's money into a carry-on case and leaves. And that's the movie. All right.
Great job. That was succinct and very clear. And you really cut it down, didn't you?
Yes, thank you. I tried my best.
So, now that we have both of the big spoilers out there, one that Iris is a robot, and so is Patrick.
Yep. Who knew?
Yeah, those are the big twists that we were super into. The Patrick one was so perfect because I just was like, oh, they're a loving couple. They're just so cute together. Unfortunately, one's not real. Well, he's real, but is a robot.
They really throw you off with it. Like, I don't know. There's a lot, I think, that goes into it. And you should know this thing. He's cooking, making all the nice stuff in the beginning. But
yeah, he's cooking. And then even when Iris runs out of the house and Guillermo, turns to him and says like, oh, be quiet, I'm talking to the police. And then he just stops talking. Like there are so many moments that like if you go back and look, he never drinks anything. You never see him eat anything. He's very obviously a robot, but I had no idea. So that was such a great twist for me. I was like, I'm in.
I think another thing, and this is really smart, is I feel like a companion sex robot is a very hetero thing. Yes. And a very like male, like heterosexual male thing. So to have it as like between like two gay men changes the situation completely, and I think it really throws you off from even like thinking that could be a possibility.
Yeah,
which is a commentary also within itself. Mm-hmm. There's your actual subtext. Like
I think that is part of what like muddled what I thought they were going for, because I really saw this as a commentary on like how a lot of men treat women. Like she is so disposable that he rents her to bang. He rents her to bang. He doesn't even buy it because she's that
I
much
forgot that she's
of
rented.
an object that he could just throw her away. I really thought that's what they were going for. And then they had this added element of like them, and then I just.
But then they go into like what's my purpose? What does it mean to be alive?
So
which like I'm not
were
qualified for that discussion.
Yeah, once it got in, like, I know inherently those questions will come up whenever we have, like, a robot-ish movie. I know people are gonna get into that, but I didn't think the movie needed to. I thought it would be stronger without posing those questions at all.
I actually totally agree. I think that I love the Patrick twist, and I really like that actor who plays Patrick. He was, like, the only part of Smile 2 I enjoyed. And he's just great. And I thought, like, he doesn't need to question his purpose. He doesn't need to do that whole thing. And honestly, like, because I like to just hop around in movies, his death at the end was really weird. Like, I was like, oh, okay. He electrocutes himself in his mouth, even though his circuit board is in his stomach. And, oh, all right. But bye, not Terminator. I guess have a good time. Like, for me, that was, again, I was going along with the movie and having a great time. But I also felt that just did not work for me.
Yeah, I didn't like that part either. It didn't like logically make sense within the movie. Like you were saying, we know that it's not going to kill them to damage their face.
Yeah.
So right off there, it doesn't match the logic. But I thought it was like, to a degree it's sweet, but it's not.
I want to talk about those two a lot because they were the most interesting part of the movie for me. Not Sophie Thatcher. Like I thought one of the most well-crafted, actually impressively crafted scenes in the movie was the reveal where Patrick was like, by the way, I figured it out. I knew I was like a robot. I adored that scene. I thought it was so well like acted, crafted by the director, written. Everything about it was like so good. And it was like this amazing scene in this like otherwise kind of forgettable movie, which I think also made me more frustrated watching this. Was like every once in a while you would see this like flash of like something better. And so it's like I'm happy we got that, but that also kind of means we have to have that bullshit and then also the what's my purpose question. But.
Yeah, I don't need the what's my purpose question at all. I also think that it's really easy to hack a person's companion. Like how is Josh able to update Patrick and then just hack into him so quickly? I feel like iPhones have more safeguards than these companions do. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, it seems like he just figured out how to jailbreak them like you jailbreak an iPhone, and it was like, all right, we're good to go. But obviously, that is extremely dangerous if it's that easy to jailbreak a person-size.
That's the future we're heading for. Just be ready. I think, I also am getting further and further away of like the what's my purpose question because I'm so freaked out by AI and our government getting involved with AI and money, $500 billion going towards it. And I'm like, stop making these movies, please. Stop giving them ideas. Like,
no, thank you. I'm good. I don't need that. I'm really, really anti-AI personally. So the trajectory of the enhancements that are coming really scare me. I also I'm more scared of science fiction than I am of horror. So this kind of stuff terrifies me. I'm probably not going to get scared during a horror movie, but if it's a sci-fi movie, especially about aliens, I probably will.
So did you find it hard to then root for Iris? Because I think I did a little. Okay. I'll say sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, go for it. No, go for it.
No, because of, well, probably because of Ex Machina, but also because of the state of the world, I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to feel for this person. And it becomes a lot harder for me to be like, yeah, ethically they have a reason to be alive. They have the same rights we do, because I'm like, no, fuck AI. They don't have rights. Stop. Don't bring them to the point where we can give them rights. Like, this is fucking scary. And back in the day, it made more sense because they were trying to use that as like equating to like civil rights or like minorities with robots. And those movies work. But nowadays, because we're actually heading towards real AI, I'm like, no, keep them oppressed. Keep those AI bots down. Like,
I don't agree. I understand why you would feel that way.
This is a new feeling, by the way. This is not like back in like you said. Okay.
I know. I understand that with, again, the direction that we are headed. However, because I very much was seeing this as incel man, bad, society treat woman as object, I was like, yes, bitch. You are not an object. You have autonomy. Let's get it.
Yes. And I agree with that. It's just, I think that these movies are going to be harder to make because of the real world.
I think
like, hell, I was rooting for those robots back in iRobot back in the day. Like Will Smith, being prejudiced towards robots. But I get it now.
I mean, that is one way to look at it, I guess. I definitely took it from the perspective that you did, Hannah, because I am really into the good for her movies, and this is a good for her film where I was like, hell yeah, put a corkscrew in his head. I'm fine with that because this guy is an incel who truly thinks he's the nice guy that just can't get anywhere in the world because women won't give him a chance. And I thought I was so against Josh from the beginning that I was like, no, I'm with Iris the whole time. I'm with her growth completely. I really liked her, and I was rooting for her the whole time.
And I do agree with everything you guys are saying. It's more, I'm more just like kind of making a point about like these movies are changing. Because when you read it from that, like, of course, I like Iris. Fuck, what's his? Josh. Like, no, he completely sucks, and they did a good job making him like very despicable. So you do root for her. But it is like, for me, I'm more just posing the question for like future of these types of films.
Fair. I wish I had a pen and paper. It's so hard when we see new releases because I'm not going to like get out my phone or pen and paper and write stuff down. But there were so many things that Josh said that I wish I wrote down. Speaking of, when you just referred to him as like, he thinks he's such a nice guy. He literally says that, like, nice guys like me don't get anywhere nowadays or something. I was cackling because it's so real.
It's so real, and I like that it's being acknowledged in movies now. So it's not just that like, oh, nice guys finish last, poor them. It's like, no, you're not a nice guy, and you're obviously doing something that is not okay, and that's why you have put yourself in this situation. It's not the other people around you, it's you. Sort yourself out, buddy. I really liked the moment in the movie where or not Guillermo, I don't know, I'm just going to call him that from now on. Not Guillermo is like, are you two fucking to Josh and the friend? And she just goes, ew, gross. And he gets so offended by it. And it's played off as a laugh. But his reaction to it, both my husband and I were like, oh, fuck him. Like, he feels like he's entitled to that. It's very obvious that he wants to, but she was the one that was like, absolutely not. We are not doing this, which could potentially be why he goes and gets Iris.
I was going to say my impression of it is, he's been rejected, so he needs his little robot. But I also think that's why he's trying to murder this girl's partner. Not only for the money, but because then he'll be her hero.
Can we talk about Sergei for a second and how bad his accent is? Because it was so bad, and he's British. So I'm like, why wouldn't you just let him be British? Why does he have to be Russian? Can we stop doing the shitty Russian accents in movies? Because it is a pet peeve of mine. And as soon as he walked on, like into the screen, was like, "Hello, I am Sergey." I turned to Neil and I was like, I can't fucking wait for him to die. Like, I need him out.
That might have been the intent, to be honest.
Well,
I was just like, oh, they're just doing like some stereotypical Russian mobster. Not even a mobster, we find out later. But
not even a mobster. He just has
just
lot
a
of
rich
money.
guy.
Yeah, which I mean,
Not a
fine.
nice guy, though. Although,
No.
But then the question is, he knows she's a robot, though. Mm-hmm. Not that that's, this is, that we can't even get into the ethics of all this with robots.
Yeah.
But like the
That's
autonomy,
crazy.
it's the autonomy of robots. He doesn't see her as having any autonomy whatsoever, even though they gave her an intelligence that is similar to that of a human. So then we have to go into like what makes me real, and that's a lot, and then it'll just make me have an existential crisis. And
I know, I don't want to do it because
Yeah, and obviously this movie
freaked out.
doesn't really tackle that question well, so I think it's better left just being like, he's a piece of shit because he's trying to abuse a woman. Like, I feel fine leaving it at that, honestly.
Yeah, it's like, I kind of do think it's funny. Not funny, it's bad. But it's like, we want to make a movie about how men treat women as objects. But like, to make you sympathetic to the woman, we're actually going to have to make her a robot. And it's like, do you not feel that happens sometimes in these, or no?
I think they did need to make her a robot to make us sympathetic towards her.
Okay.
I think they were just trying to do something fun.
Okay.
yeah,
Like, I think
agree.
that theme is prevalent in a lot of other movies, obviously, where people are people. I just think it was a fun
A way to
addition
do it,
for this,
yeah.
and they wanted to do something silly, and so they did it.
I agree.
So I think
I agree.
the most prevalent theme, though, is definitely just about like women are seen as objects.
That's
Right.
really what I took away from it. And it's so on the surface. Do you have more to add, Brit?
I took that away, and I also took away toxic relationships, like how toxic the nice guy treats her and how hard it is to get out of those relationships. In Iris's case, it's literally impossible, and she has to find herself going back to them time and time again. Now, do we think it was handled particularly like well? Probably not, but I also think that there is a chance that people watching this, because it is so surface level, could identify with that. And I think that a lot of the time in cinema before now, we get a lot of depictions of abusive partners being outwardly abusive in ways that are really obvious to the people around them. Whereas in this, it's not that Josh is it's not that Josh is being outwardly abusive, but he still is abusive towards her. And that still counts towards the toxic relationship and what makes it difficult to leave. So I think that like is a theme that actually I thought worked fine in this and was, even though it was really base, it still was an obvious one that I took out of it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I do think with things like abuse, it is okay to have that on the surface because it's going to help people.
Yeah.
No, you guys are both right. I just keep thinking about I can't get off of robot
I know,
shit.
I
I'm
know
really
you
struggling
can't.
because I
That's
started
okay.
thinking about
You're so
Bert
stuck.
Kreischer's fucking thing where Alexa. We don't like, his family comes up and goes, we don't like the way you treat Alexa. He's like, I'll throw Alexa in the fucking pool. Is like part of it, and I was like, I can't keep coming back to like robots. Very much distracting me. Where I'm like, and you're right.
There's so much of this movie where you just erase the robot
I know,
part
I need
and the
to.
themes are still there.
I know.
I think you're just stuck, and that's
I'm stuck.
okay.
I'm stuck. And I think it's
I'm not stuck,
it
though.
makes it hard, I think, for that. It's just something I think that makes it hard for the theme to hit for me. But that's just...
I also think that when you don't enjoy a movie as much as you kind of expected to, or as much as even the other people around you seem to have been enjoying it in the theater potentially, like I know when that happens to me, I get hung up on one thing and I'm like, I actually can't get past this because I already don't enjoy this movie that much. And this is why. So I can't just let it go because the other things in the movie also didn't work for me. So I totally get it. I have been
I think that's
in
where
that
I'm
position.
at.
Yeah.
And like I said, there are plenty of things I did like. It's just like overall, I found it a little bit of a frustrating experience. It's not that it's bad in any way. It's more that I felt like it doesn't take any swings. And really, when something falls like middle of the road for me, I sometimes think I find that like worse than when a movie's actually just bad. Because if a movie's bad, like I get something out of it. This one to me, just like in all of its facets is very like middle of the road. So. But I'm sorry, I don't have to complain too much about it.
How dare you have an opinion? My goodness.
I think I explained
great.
why I feel that way. At least it's
No, you did. No,
at least it looks okay. That was my whole thing. I was like, it's not, as we said before, I thought it was like a good direction for the most part.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I do need to talk about the meeting flashbacks since we brought that up earlier. Favorite scenes in the movie.
They're
100%,
definitely bright spots.
where all of the flashbacks to how the characters allegedly met, how essentially Josh met Iris in her memory. But the best one, 100%, was how not Guillermo met Patrick. And then how that changes later and they fill in Josh being the same thing in the same scene, meeting Patrick. Oh, it was so good.
It's so good. I loved that. And I think me and my husband and the one other person in the cinema, we all laughed out loud during that because it was just genuinely so funny and so lovely. And the comedy hit really well during those scenes. I really enjoyed that. I also, at the beginning of the movie, when it's just Iris in an empty grocery store, I turned to Neil and I was like, who are all these people meeting in a grocery store? Like, because I think of Fresh from last year or the year or a couple of years ago, they meet in a grocery store. There's another one I was thinking and I was like, man, people really love grocery stores. Who knew?
It's one of the classic tropes of like, you can really meet men in real life, honey. Just go to the grocery store and make sure you look pretty.
Yeah, just make sure you look like a Stepford wife. You'll be fine.
And honestly, like seeing that scene, I was like, that is so cute, sweetie. I'm on board. That was so quirky. He dropped all the oranges.
I don't think anybody wants to be approached in a grocery store.
No, I don't. And I look like a shitbag when I go grocery shopping.
When I'm in the grocery store, I'm stressing so hard trying to find the shit that I can't find because I can never find anything.
Yeah, you're really bad at grocery store navigation.
My husband works at a Trader Joe's. So I am constantly approached at Trader Joe's because I know all of his coworkers and it literally is like, it's 10 minutes from our house. So I go in quite often to just be like, I'll walk my husband home at lunch. And while I do it, I'll shop. And one time I was in there and someone goes, wow, you're back again. And I was like, because you said that, I'm not coming in for a week and a half at least. But I do get approached at the grocery store, but only that one, thank God. And it's just people I know.
Yeah, at least it's people you know. I swear, if I am ever approached or hit on in a public place, it happens to me a lot when I'm picking up my prescriptions at the pharmacy.
Oh my gosh.
And that is where I look especially shit, I think, because I'll forget that I need to pick them up and then I'm in pajamas or disgusting after exercising and I'm like, fuck it, let's go. Don't talk to me. I don't think I can meet someone organically had I not met my husband in college.
It's a great question. That's a whole other thing. We talked about that at work the other day after COVID. Third places are expensive. Everyone's afraid to talk to each other. Everyone's afraid to harass each other on accident. It's a weird life out there, I would imagine, for people dating. But just don't be weird and you'll be fine. Right? Or be weird. Be good weird.
If a guy, though, did come up to hit on me in a grocery store and looked like Jack Quaid,
you'd be okay
and
with
dropped
that?
all the oranges and then said something cute or smooth after, that would work. But you just have to look like Jack Quaid, and that's a problem, you know?
I guess that's fair. But I really don't like being approached in public. So I'm like my sister, where I have the greatest resting bitch face ever. So I feel like that's people are no way. My husband, on the other hand, who also has a resting bitch face, he gets approached all the time by little old ladies who need help. It doesn't matter where we are. They'll come and be like, can you help me do this or that? And he's like, okay, sure. Because he's too nice to say no. But it's very funny because I'm like, okay, that's funny. He has people who stop him to be like, excuse me, sir, I'm so sorry. Do you know what kind of plant this is? And I'm like, do we look like plant people? I'm confused. What is going on? But whatever. I think they just get the English energy off of him. And they're like, oh, he's from England. I should probably ask him.
He's proper.
He's very proper.
Yeah.
It's not proper at all.
There you go.
Not
all right, well, is it time to rate this thing? Do we have anything else
Did you guys
want to say?
have any other scenes that you would want to highlight as being particularly good or tense or?
I highlighted mine. It was the Patrick and Eli. Is that their names? I can't even remember.
I don't know.
Their big
Not
scene.
Guillermo's name.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. And like I want to see that movie, to be honest. I want to see the we haven't gotten that, the robot movie where the robot figures it out and is like, I still love you, and they're like, let's just have this relationship. It's like let me just be happy.
There is a current Broadway show about two robots falling in love. A little different, but that I'm invested in seeing at some point. Darren Criss is currently in it. It's I think it's like a Japanese or Korean show that was made into an English language show. And it's been on Broadway
that does
for
not
a short
surprise
period.
me, actually, with the subject matter.
Yep,
that tracks.
But I heard it's really good, and I do love him.
Well,
so
I realized I'm asking for basically a happier version of her.
oh yeah, I
But
love
like
her
maybe
so much.
a less smart. I want a less smart her. I don't want that. I want the little one in a robot. Because they did kind of start to say like, oh, well, maybe he still has memories. Like robots are kind of people. I don't know. And then it loses me again.
Yeah, that's true. I really enjoyed the scene where the police officer gets his face beat, like totally beat in, because I like a good violent scene. And I thought it was funny that she was speaking German. And then when I'm a huge fan of Terminator and Terminator 2. And there were a lot of Terminator homages in this. So I was like into it. At the end, both Neil and I were like, this could have been a Terminator prequel. They could have just said that she came from Skynet. We would have been like in and happy and like fine with it, you know? And so when the police officer is talking to Iris and then Patrick's just like coming up like the Terminator in the back, I was like, oh, we're going here. Let's do it. And then when he got his face bashed in, I was like, yeah, this is the gore I'm here for. So, you know, I got my little gore moment and I was happy.
I did love Patrick in his little cop outfit and the Terminator parallels, because that is like the scene that I think of when I think of the Terminator franchise.
I did the Leo Point meme in the theater.
He did.
And I was like, Terminator 2, Terminator 2.
He literally did.
Yes. Oh my God, I love. Maybe we'll
T2,
watch Terminator
Judgment
2
Day.
tonight. T2's so good. I don't know. I do love Terminator, but T2 might be better.
T2's like a 10 out of 10 movie.
I like T2 better.
Yeah. Man, it's
I've
so good.
only seen Terminator and Terminator 2. Haven't seen any of the other ones. I'm going to keep it
You
that
don't
way.
need to.
Yeah.
You're good.
I'm happy.
You're good. You're fine.
I've seen the first 3, but I don't. The first 2 would suffice. Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
Did
like
you have any
Alien.
favorite scenes? Hold up. I like Covenant and Prometheus. All right. Sorry.
Oh, goodness,
I actually love Prometheus.
You know what? You and Adam on my podcast, you two would get along so well. We did a ranking of all the Alien in the Alien franchise, because we did Aliens, which is like one of my top tier favorite movies ever. And he put Prometheus first over or not first, but he put it over Aliens, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, "I've never seen you get so pissed."
It's at least top 3. I'm just.
I will say that that's fair. That's fair, but. Yeah, it probably is top 3 for me, just because I don't really like any of the other ones.
There you go. See, we're on the same page then.
So
I was ready to move on, and then I heard you say that and was like, hold up.
No, it's okay. I get it.
Okay, sorry. Are you ready for ratings, or did you have a scene?
My favorite scenes were all the flashbacks.
Sweet.
Literally loved the dinosaur dance, like disco flashback so much. Oh, it was so good.
Well, okay, let's rate this thing, because we are way over now.
That's okay.
I apologize.
And I'm not cutting anything.
I love tangents. I told you. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. I did it as much as you did.
I think this is a good movie for the tangents.
Yeah, because there isn't that much to say about it.
Man, fuck up. You're the biggest bitch about it.
I'm sorry. I thought that was a good joke. I'm giving it's a flat 5 out of 10 for me. I'm sorry. It's very, very middle of the road. But I'm glad we watched it, because I thought we had a really good conversation, Brit. I enjoyed talking to you. So,
well, I did post this question to some people on Blue Sky. I'm going to just read a couple responses. I got 7 out of 10. It's like a fun Black Mirror episode, which I know we referenced Black Mirror earlier, so fitting. Another person gave it a 7 out of 10, and someone said a solid 8, teetering on an 8.5. So they disagree with you strongly, my man.
Strongly, I give it a 5.
That's pretty.
Disagreeing strongly would be like if I gave it a 2.
Bro, I think an 8 out of 10 and a 5 out of 10 is like pretty different. I don't know.
There's a lot of, a lot of dissonance between them, but that's okay.
Britt, where did you rate this one?
So I went ahead and I went 7 out of 10 with this. And I think that's probably high. I think it probably should be more around a 6.5. But I am so into the good for her genre that I usually will just let a movie be what it is, because I appreciate seeing females take back power. And honestly, I had such a nice time watching this film, and I was so excited that my husband wanted to go see it. And because there are Terminator references, it has to be a 7 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. When I was thinking fondly on this movie, I was around a 7. I think I'd probably go 6.75.
Fair.
I feel like it's,
That's insane.
dude, you know
the
how I rate
decimals on
things.
that are so
you know
funny.
How I rate things.
Whatever,
bitch.
No, I like it. You just
No,
make
I
me
think
laugh.
it's like a 6.7, 6.8. Like, it's not a 7 to me, but I did enjoy it almost as much as I've enjoyed some 7s. So it can't be that far off. Like, it was enjoyable. It was fun to me. I would tell other people I know that they would like this movie and they should see it. Is it a work of art? No. Does I think it, like, has some failings? Yes. But that's okay.
You have to remember, I rated From Dusk Till Dawn a 6 out of 10, and I love From Dusk Till Dawn. So if I don't love the movie, it's not going to be a 6 or higher now. That's the new rating.
Well,
I guess
From
that's
Dusk Till Dawn
totally
is
fair.
That's the best 6 out of 10.
It's the best 6 out of 10 movie ever made.
existed.
So
like,
that's a high 6 out of 10.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. I respect it. I mean, everything can't be a 5 out of 5 or a 10 out of 10. Even though if you ask my husband, I would say everything's a 10 out of 10, because I'm always like, it's my favorite movie. And he's like, everything can't be your favorite thing. And I'm like, but it is. I don't care. I do what I want.
Ratings are subjective. I love it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So, before we close out, Brit, remind our listeners where they can find you.
Oh, absolutely. So you can find me at 1001 by 1, my podcast, which is on Spotify and every other streaming platform you could think of. Also, you can find me personally at Britsby Hobnob on Instagram and on Letterboxd and on Blue Sky. I mean, I'm also on X, but like, how much longer are any of us going to be on that? So I would not suggest finding me there. I'm never on. But yeah, no, come chat movies, especially if you want to talk about weird horror movies, because that's my jam. I love them so much.
Woo! Well, it was so fun to have you on. You were such a fun and engaging guest, so we're very happy that we could make this work, and we'll definitely have you back in the future.
Oh my gosh, thank you both so much. This has been awesome. I've had such a great time. So I really appreciate you letting me just jump on to this companion episode after we chatted briefly.
Oh, of course.
Yes,
That was great.
Of course. Yeah, it was great. Well,
And comment if you want Brit and Matt to do a Twin Peaks podcast. So
Matt just was his Twin Peaks podcast
Twin Peaks
so bad.
forever. Twin Peaks forever.
But with all that being said, I've been Matt Hanna.
I'm Hannah.
And this is Horror with the Hannahs. And
Bye.
once again, we're done.
Beep boop.
Thank you for listening to Horror Hour with the Hannahs. Make sure to listen to future episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or wherever you can find podcasts. You can follow us at Horror Hour with the Hannahs on TikTok and Instagram for more content. If you like the podcast, please follow and leave a review on your favorite podcasting app. Happy hauntings!